what I'm going to really focus on tonight is Hippocrates with his 4 temperament types. And I think this will be really interesting to you, especially those of you that are familiar with Myers-Briggs and other more contemporary systems. And you can use your knowledge and try to see where those different contemporary temperament types fit in with the ancient Greeks. These are how different Greek philosophers looked at Hippocrates's major temperament types. So we have the sanguine, melancholy, choleric, and phlegmatic. For Plato, he saw them in very different terms. And as you go down these things on the charts, all the way down to Myers, and this is probably where a lot of you are more familiar. Perceiving would be associated with sanguine, judging with melancholy, feeling with choleric, and thinking with phlegmatic. And I don't know, do any of you know who this Keirsey person is? Is that on anyone's psychology radar? I'm not familiar with that name.
It was on a licensing exam. I do not remember.
But I like how he also, they're still going off of Hippocrates's 4 basic temperament types. So let's pivot over to there. I think super interesting. So this is a hybrid chart someone made, and I think it's pretty clever. And I'm going to try to fill in some gaps here. I like how they use earth, air, fire, and water, the 4 Greek elements, to tie in with the temperament types. This is a hybrid between Hippocrates. This is the man where we got the Hippocratic Oath from, for medical practitioners. And this was part of his study of human beings, what it meant to be human. And then Galen, another Greek philosopher, added the humors into the temperament types. So he's the one that gave us the dry and the wet and the hot and the cold. And they would use these to diagnose people throughout the medieval period. When you had some malady, they would want to know, is it a dry malady? Is it a wet malady? Is it a hot malady? Is it a cold malady? And then it would also be tied into the elements and to temperament type. So let's start here. We'll go clockwise with choleric. And I looked through quite a lot of charts this afternoon trying to find some to share with you. And I thought it was interesting because there was a conflict between, I have seen sanguine described as blood, but also cholerics described as blood. And I think it's because they are both extrovert temperaments, both cholerics and sanguines. But let me just describe the choleric for you. The bodily humor or fluid associated with the choleric here in this case, and I've seen them switch with sanguine, so I don't know if we can get an arbitrator for these things, but we'll go with this. This is, their bodily fluid would be yellow bile, which is a nice way of saying urine. And because, like when you have to go to the bathroom, cholerics don't stop until they're done. If they're just, when they let it out, it just keeps going. They can be touchy, restless, aggressive, excitable, changeable, impulsive, optimistic, and active. Tim LaHaye, interestingly enough, I believe in the 70s, wrote a book called The 4 Temperaments. And he actually used Hippocrates's 4 temperament types. But then what I appreciated that he did about them, in each of these, he showed their virtues as well as their vices. And as you can imagine, each temperament type has a range of virtues and shortcomings. But then what LaHaye did was he kind of pivoted it or showed it in like a Christian perspective. And I thought it was pretty well done and certainly got my interest up. I mean, I remember reading that, what is that, 50 years ago now? Good night. It's been a while. So cholerics, these are your natural born leader type people. They are people of action. Extroverts, like the sanguines and cholerics, they get energized by being around other people. They literally feed off that energy and are recharged by being with others.